For 6 years of my life, I grew up in a small town called Whitewood, Saskatchewan, and graduated with a class of 18. But throughout the 20 years that I've been here, I've always lived on a farm, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, as it made me have so many memories and expanded my imagination. But also, growing up with cattle and horses has never failed to put a smile on my face when going home. But I also grew up with 4 sisters and 2 loving, amazing parents. What languages do you speak, understand, read, and write? What events and factors have led to your language profile?
Yeah, I spoke German till I was 10 years old. We spoke German only at home. And when I went to school, I had to learn English. And that's when my dad decided that we would start speaking English at home. And there was 12 of us. And the 5 of us had already started school. And I was the 5th one. And I can read English and I can write English, but I cannot do anything concerning German. I can't read it or write it or speak it.
The language that I speak, understand, and read and write is English. The factors that led to that is that's the language that was spoken in our home when I grew up, in the school that I attended, and the community and the country that I live in.
Well, the language that I speak and understand and read and write is English. I've only known English. I did have a chance to take French, but I didn't proceed with that. And English is my language.
English is the language that we speak, understand, and read here. I guess my grandfather moved from Ireland and of course spoke English with an accent, obviously. And there has been no other influence other than that language in our family.
So the languages that I speak, understand, read, and write is mostly English, and the events and factors that have influenced it is my family, my school especially. I grew up in a very predominant English school. It did offer French the first year I was there, but then the teacher moved away, so it was only offered there for a year. But other than that, my main language is English. Do you use your languages or language in the public or private spheres, or in both? Why or why not?
Yeah, I just speak English. I wish I could speak German, but I can't. But English is my only language that I speak.
Language that I use in public and in private is English, and the reason I do that is because that's what is spoken in our home and in the country.
Well, I only know English and I use it everywhere, and that's all I know is English.
English is used in public and at home, basically because our society is a predominantly speaking English culture.
So I speak English in both spheres, both in private and in public, just because the society that I live in, the school that I go to, it's predominantly English, so therefore I don't have to just speak my language in private as the public speaks the same language that I do. Have you yourself ever experienced language loss?
As you know, I couldn't communicate in school. So actually I was happy when my dad said we would start talking English at home. And it didn't take us long to pick it up and just run with it. And then I felt more comfortable going to school. So the language loss was actually, I felt comfortable about it.
No, I haven't experienced any language loss. Probably the reason why is because I've lived in Canada, in Saskatchewan all my life, born and raised here, and that's the predominant language of this country, and I never attended a bilingual school or anything like that.
Well, I've only experienced English, so it hasn't been threatened in any way. And yeah, that's all I've basically used is English. And yeah.
We've never lost our language, basically because English is spoken by everybody that we deal with, family, friends, our society in general. So we've never had a reason to lose our language.
So I haven't experienced any language loss just because my parents, my sisters, we all speak the exact same language, which is English, which I've said before is really dominant in Canada and in Saskatchewan. My mother tongue hasn't been threatened because it is dominant in this society, so I've never lost it in any way. Have you yourself learned any additional languages? Why or why not? Did you pay for formal language learning programs? Or were the programs funded by the provincial or federal governments? And what second languages are available to you and which are not?
I have to be careful what I say here because I'm going to start crying. Because I know that on the day of my birthday when I was 15, I had to quit school. And I just wanted to go to school so bad. I wanted to be a police officer. And I wanted to take another language because of that. But it was not to be. I had to stay home and help my mom because I was the only girl in there amongst 9 boys. So who else could she lean on but on me, eh? So, no. Yeah, I would have loved to have my education, but not possible.
Yes, I have learned an additional language. I took German by correspondence in grade 10 in high school. I took it for one, I don't know if we call it a semester. The reason being is because my grandma on my dad's side and my grandpa, I guess, I didn't know him, he was dead before I was born, but my grandma, they both came from Germany, and we visited her a lot, and she spoke German. She could also speak English, broken English, but a lot of my dad's brothers and sisters also spoke German, so when they would get together, family get-togethers, they would speak it. So I thought it would be kind of nice to be able to understand it and learn it as part of my history.
Well, I did have a chance to learn another language. I had a chance to learn French because I really wanted to be a nurse. And I did work in the hospital as an aide, and I had the opportunity to even go in. They were going to pay for my nursing, and I could have taken French, but my choices were different, and so I never did that.
No, we had never learned any additional languages when I was in high school. I think French had been offered, but when we got to that point, it was no longer offered in our school, so I've never had to learn or had the opportunity to learn any other language but English.
So I learned a bit of French in grade 6 when I moved here. I was pretty far behind from everyone else. But after that year, the teacher moved, so we didn't have French anymore. And that was funded provincially by the school systems. But when I went to university last year, I had to take a French course, and I learned quite a bit of it, and I can speak it pretty good and read it, but I wouldn't say fluently. I couldn't have a conversation with someone, and that I did have to pay for myself. And also some second languages that are available to me. I think there's a lot, especially in the university. They offer German, Spanish, French, and a lot of variety, and just I think the internet plays a huge source, and also the people that I'm surrounded with at the university. Throughout my language profile, it has been stated that English is very predominant in my society. And also, in the article by Andrea and Russell, they state that English dominates academic life, not just in English-speaking countries, but in countries all around the world. However, in Eve and Donna's article, they state the need for the true equality of opportunity and an opportunity to share in all the benefits of Canadian life without the loss of identity. Which, in my opinion, I absolutely agree with, seeing as my grandmother had lost her own language and therefore her own identity of being German. The language must be used as a language of instruction and not taught simply as a subject. The language must be contextualized in the group's identity, culture, and experience and integrated into the community it serves. In the article History and Origins of Language Policies in Canada, it states, "Looking back, we see the growing importance of language as becoming independent from ethnicity and religion, while remaining attached to the collective memories of the founding peoples and their descendants who brought to Canada the fruits of two of the greatest world civilizations." When interviewing my grandparents and my mom and dad, I learned a lot about my language profile and where I've came from, especially with my grandmother when I learned that she did speak another language before. My grandma spoke German, and that was her first language. But when she came over to Canada and moved here, she had to learn English. Her school would not allow her to speak any other language but English. And she was happy about it. Her parents made them speak English in the household once they started going to school there, which was very surprising for me. Although my grandma was happy that she got to speak English, it was because she fit into society. She fit in with the friends group and everything. So it is sad to hear that because she lost a part of herself, and I think that my language profile would have been definitely different because if she still spoke German, then my mother would, and then I could possibly even speak it as well. So it was very interesting seeing how now my language is English and the only language that I speak. But it definitely could have been different if there was different circumstances.